All right, what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here to another episode of the Just Ballin' podcast. And today we're going to be doing something you guys know that I love. We are going to be doing a 2025 NBA mock draft here after the college basketball season ended. This is going to be the first one that I'm doing it on this channel. And it's always different between this channel and Sross, because Sross, I try to make it more so a video format, and I'm not going to go too long on each pick because I could sit there and talk for hours and hours. But for here, I can at least sit down a little bit and talk about it a little bit more in a podcast style, which I do enjoy. And we're going to just do a first round today, so I'm going to focus in on that. I'm not going to try to mention 60 to 70 guys in this podcast. And then I'm also going to try to do some trades because I think it's a fun thing we could play around with here in the mock draft. And yeah, today we are going to use the Fanspo mock draft simulator, and I'm not going to do a lottery thing either because I did a lottery for my last mock draft post March Madness on the Sross channel, and like Miami got number one. So for this one, I'm just going to keep it the reverse order of the standings and just give me a little bit of leeway here because I am pre-recording this before the season ends. So I don't know who ends up with the worst record in the league. Right now, the Wizards have the tiebreaker to get the best odds, or 14%, but the number one pick going into the lottery, then the Jazz, but that could change over the last few days of the regular season. You guys are probably seeing this after the regular season officially ends, but I mentioned it, all these episodes that I'm pre-recording, going to be in Europe for pretty much the next 10 days throughout the playing tournament and the first games of round one. I know, bad timing, but yeah, I wanted to get at least some episodes out for you guys here on the pod. So let's start off with the Washington Wizards, who obviously, whoever is picking number one, they're going to take Cooper Flagg. And I mean, I think if Cooper Flagg ends up in DC, we really got a glimpse or just a preview of how him and Sar can look like in the front court in DC, because I think Sar, a better prospect for sure than Come On My Watch, way more mobile. And I think as Sar fills out into his body, gets a more comfortable feel for the game, the handle tightens up a little bit more, gets more physical inside, I think a little bit better of a shot diet. Flagg is going to help him out so much directly. I'm buying so much Alex Sar stock if they get the number one overall pick because of what Cooper Flagg can help him out in that dunker spot. The defense is going to be so focused on Cooper Flagg driving or in the post, and he has great court vision. He's not somebody like maybe Derek Queen of this draft or some of the other bigs that just honestly aren't going to make an extra pass, and they're going to just have a little bit of tunnel vision, or in their or even Asa Newell, you're in the post, they're shooting the basketball or they're looking directly at the rim. Flagg will look at the rim, but he'll also look at his teammates, and I think Sar will benefit. Keyshawn George, Bob Carrington, the amount of catch and shoot threes they're going to get, and even Bilal Coulibaly cutting to the basket. Flagg is a true blue chip prospect. He's not a generational prospect. I save that for your Wembys and your LeBrons of the world. And I would say Anthony Davis. I was 12, 13, but I do remember the hype Anthony Davis had coming out of Kentucky, and teams were tanking for him, and feel bad for the Bobcats that year that didn't get him. I think Flagg is in that next tier. Guys that are just elite college athletes. I mean, you have your Andrew Wiggins, gotta give him the respect to Kansas. He had a lot of hype to him. I think Anthony Edwards is honestly a tier below these guys, based on prospect. I would say Cade. I would say Zion Williamson, guy I've been trying to say. I think Chet Holmgren had a lot of hype, but he obviously didn't even go number one. That went to Paolo Banchero. And then if there was another one, I would say probably Karl Anthony Towns. Kevin Durant as well, but also another player that didn't go number one. Either way, Cooper Flagg, you are a Washington Wizard, is going to immediately improve their defense. And I think Washington's a great fit too, because this roster is still gonna have some growing pains and they're still incredibly young, but I think him stepping into a locker room with Middleton and Smart would be great for his development. Maybe they can add another veteran in free agency or their trade market as well. And I think what could benefit the Wizards, I mean, I think their pick is top 8 or 10 protected in 2026. It could go to the Knicks. And yeah, you make the playoffs, I'm sure you would have a really exciting year with the young core that you were good enough to make the playoffs with Flagg, George, Bilal, and Sar. But I think Washington is still a bad team, maybe relative to the Eastern Conference, which is a good thing maybe, because then you can add one last top 10 pick from 2026, and then we're off and running in 2027, when now Sar is 2 years of development or 3 years of development, and everybody else is kind of feeling out what they are at the NBA level. So at number 2, Utah, while I do think Ace Bailey would be a great fit here, I think they would go best player available, and that is Dylan Harper in my opinion. I know Isaiah Collier has had a great year running the point, as an initiator and a playmaker for this team. But I think Dylan Harper gives you a lot of options to either play him at the 1 or play him at the 2. He's got a good size, got a good frame. He's pretty strong, can get low to the ground, but could really just finish at the rim almost better than anybody else in this draft. And he could be a legitimate number 1 option for you. I'm not going to say on a title team, but throughout this rebuild, he could be a number 1 option. And I think Utah, obviously, I think there is a little bit of a drop off between Flagg and Harper, but it's not super noticeable, and you're going to be okay getting Dylan Harper in this draft. I just don't think people are forgetting how good Dylan Harper was this year, and how exciting he was as a prospect, because we haven't seen Rutgers play. They got eliminated in the first game of the Big Ten tournament against USC, and they didn't make March Madness. Rutgers wasn't good this year, but I'm excited to see like Dylan Harper running a pick and roll with Kessler playing off ball, or on ball with George and Collier in the backcourt. And I think this is another thing, like I just said with Washington. I mean, Utah, like Washington, their pick is top 10 protected, next year, or it turns into seconds either way from OKC. I think they're going to be a bottom 10 team with or without Harper next year, and they can now load up on Harper and then maybe one of the blue chippers in 2026. So next up, we have the Charlotte Hornets at number 3. A fascinating team picking here, because Ace Bailey gives you obviously the number 1 upside, but I think Edgecombe fits so much better next to LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. But to be honest with you, like if you take Ace Bailey at number 3, I don't think he's going to benefit playing with Miles Bridges there as well. I think you'd be better off getting rid of Miles Bridges. Man, it was a funny tweet. It was like, I know the Lakers fan, whoever tweeted it, was joking or trolling, but it's like, we've had it so bad and we finally clinched a playoff spot. Like, you don't know how bad we had it. And you're like, oh, the Lakers, a team that's had the best franchise history, that won a title literally 5 years ago and has the most titles of all time and has LeBron James and Luka. And then somebody quote tweeted and is like, my franchise player right now is, or my number 1 scorer is Miles Bridges. Like, you do not have it bad. But I think here, this would be probably the first interesting selection of the draft that would be like, okay, you can go back and forth between Edgecombe and Bailey. Kaman at 3 would be a big shocker, but we won't really know if Charlotte likes Kaman a lot until leading to the draft, how that workout goes. And we don't really know which one or which player they'd like particularly more here. And I go back and forth between who I would like. And I said I was going to have some trades in this video, or in this pod, which I will. I don't think it's going to come here at 3. I think we're going to have them go best player available with highest upside in Ace Bailey. This is not what I would do. I would take VJ Edgecombe, but say there is a chance that LaMelo Ball isn't in their long-term plans and you're looking for somebody with immense upside that could score the basketball and that could play out there with Brandon Miller in the perimeter, and you can get 2 good wings in the NBA. I'm not saying this is the next Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but there is a proven track record to having good wings on your team. Will Ace Bailey be available? Will he be consistent enough? You're going to have some growing pains, but I think Charles Lee can get the best out of him. And we're going to have Ace Bailey go number 3, which is something I normally don't do. I do tend to go a little bit more Edgecombe, but I think this team is going to try to take a home run swing there. So at number 4 with the Pelicans, I think they would take VJ Edgecombe and not think twice about it. I think they're a team that is just going to look at best player available no matter what. Their probably biggest need right now is a point guard or center. Point guard more so because DeJounte Murray is hurt, and I don't think you can really get excited about McCollum being your starting point guard. I mean, like, McCollum can obviously be a good enough point guard until Murray gets back, but you want to get at least some young blood in there, and somebody that's a little bit more exciting that you could develop over time, because the last point guard you drafted high was Kyra Lewis, and that didn't work out. I liked Yves Missy's rookie year, but if you think Kaman has a much higher ceiling than Yves Missy, you could think about Kaman, but I'm just taking Edgecombe, somebody that could switch on to multiple defenders, that's just a gamer, plays 100, like gives you 110% effort every single night, get a dive for loose balls, going to switch on to multiple guys, and could be a great point of attack defender, an incredible athlete. And now the Pelicans have like just a rich amount of wings over there. I mean, you have Zion, who's more like a big, but either way, you got Zion, you got Trey Murphy, Herb Jones coming back healthy, hopefully a year 3 bounce back for Jordan Hawkins, Brandon Boston, what he's done for you this year. There maybe even be somebody I'm forgetting off the top of my head, Bruce Brown. Like that could be an exciting just wing depth there. I don't think Edgecombe's ever going to be a point guard one day, but I think when they're hitting their peak, he could be a really good number 2 there in New Orleans. So we're on the clock here at number 5 with Philadelphia. I wonder if this would be my first trade down spot. Because with the top 4 off the board, they could look at Trey Johnson. They could look at Kaman Watch, but I think they could also try to accumulate some more draft picks. So I don't know who I think would trade up here. I don't know if it's a team that really wants to get like Knueppel or a team that wants to get maybe Kaman Watch. I don't know if we can get up there with Chicago. Like I wonder if like Chicago, could we do like Ida Sunmu in 12 to move up to 5? What do we think about that, Bulls fans? And you're going to guarantee yourselves Kaman Watch in this draft because Kaman ain't less than the 12. Let's do that. I mean, it's going to be some type of like 5 for like Philly's trading down a decent amount, pick 12. And it's also going to include, I'm trying to remember, so pick 12. We'll say Ida Sunmu's going to Philly. I think they could just use any depth piece there. I don't think they'd be intrigued by Patrick Williams. Sunmu has 1 year left on his deal. And this is just the idea of it. I just don't know what other team would maybe trade up specifically for Trey Johnson. I think Kasparis also a little bit of hype where I don't think any team's trading up that high to get him. I mean, Portland maybe could be intrigued by Trey Johnson. Houston could be intrigued by maybe getting up and getting one of the guards. But no, we're going to have like pick 5. Like we're going to have Philly trade down just to accumulate either more draft picks, which they have one pick going out to Brooklyn from the Harden trade still. But they're a team that could look to just add depth because we saw how much their depth was depleted this year. And I think getting Dosunmu is interesting. Maybe this would be Jalen Smith, which I don't think is going to be good enough of a player to move down 7 spots. But maybe it's something like that and an additional pick. It's just the idea of Chicago saying, you know what, we're okay trading away one of our pieces that we weren't confident we were going to re-sign. So let's trade him to Philly and move up 7 spots. It's not exactly the same, but if you remember, there was a pick 6 for pick 11 trade in the 2019 draft. So not too long ago. It's where the Timberwolves traded up to take Jarrett Culver. And the Suns traded down and actually got the better player in Cam Johnson. So yeah, we're going to have pick 5 go to Chicago, and we're going to have pick 12 go to Philadelphia. Maybe there's an additional first rounder involved in that deal as well. So yeah, we're going to have the Bulls go up and get Kaman Mayuwachu, who I do believe is the best center prospect in this draft. Chicago maybe won too many games towards the end of the season. I don't know what happened in the playing tournament when I'm recording this right now, but I do think he's somebody that could be an elite rim protector one day. He could benefit with playing with athletic 4s of Patrick Williams, at least on the defensive end, and Matas Buzelis as well. And I think you're really developing a fun front court in the future of Kaman and Buzelis. You worry a little bit about the floor spacing, but I do think Kaman would complement Buzelis very nicely. And I think Buzelis actually doesn't have terrible court vision for somebody of his size and at his position. And he could be somebody that can be in that front court for a long, long time with Kaman. And I'm just excited about Buzelis on this team next year with Giddey. And I mean, Derek Queen might be off the board as well. Like you're trying to leapfrog Toronto, who probably has their eyes set on Kaman there at number 7. So we're on the clock at number 6 with Brooklyn. It's funny because Trey Johnson, I think, would also make a lot of sense. But they have Cam Thomas, and I do think they're kind of similar in terms of prospect, just like their style of play. And I think if they bring back Cam Johnson, I don't really like, or Thomas, I don't really like them bringing in Trey Johnson. I think I may just go Kasparis Jakucionis here. I think this team is looking for that franchise point guard. I'm not sure if they would also be a trade down team as well, but I just don't know what team would trade up assets for Trey Johnson right now. I think if Kaman reaches his top potential point, he is like one of the best rim protectors in this league. I'm not saying he's Rudy Gobert type, but I mean, you hope he can get somewhere there, a little bit more mobile inside, and you hope can really fill out and be more physical too. But Kasparis, I think, can still be, I don't know about a franchise point guard, but man, they need somebody with good court vision that can also score the basketball, because I don't want to see D'Lo as the opening night starter next year. And they have their next picks at 18, 26, and 27, and 36. Like, you have 4 first-round picks, but I don't know if Saraf, Traore, or any of those guys are going to be there at 18. So we're going to lock up Kasparis here at number 6, or yeah, at number 6 in this draft. So at number 7, we do have the Toronto Raptors, who I'm also intrigued about here. Trey Johnson's still on the board. Derek Queen on the board as well. I thought about like maybe a point guard if you worry about quickly long term, but I think you're fine there. I mean, I think we could look to maybe add some center depth, and I know drafting depth at number 7 isn't really the most exciting thing, but I think you take Derek Queen, you hope to build up chemistry and continuity with him and Scotty Barnes over the first 2 years of his career, and then maybe when Pirtle's contract's up, or maybe they eventually trade him, Derek Queen can transition into the starting center. This is more of a mock of what I think they would do. I mean, I'm sure Masai loves Kaman more than Derek Queen in that archetype for you, and I'm not as high on Derek Queen in the top 10. I wouldn't take him here, but I do think Toronto would go a little bit more fit, because at point guard, like, you got Quickly and Shed. Now, if an injury goes down, like, who can also step into that role? And there's plenty of guards available. I don't know if they would go Trey Johnson with RJ, Ingram, and Dick, and Jacoby Walter, who they took in the first round last year. I'm not sure if that's a position of need or skill set of need. And you also have Ochai Agbaji as well. So I'm going to have Derek Queen go to the Raptors at number 7. And it looks like something crashed as I did that. So bear with me here. I have to restart the draft. That's unfortunate. All right, so we're all squared away here at number 8. I think this draft falls very nicely for the San Antonio Spurs, who are going to take... I think Knueppel might fit this team more than Trey Johnson. I do. I think Khan is a connecting piece, and that's what they're looking for. I mean, I think Trey Johnson is a top shooter in this draft, but I think the way you're trying to plug and play Khan, like I said, as a connecting piece that can make extra passes, that could run in transition, that isn't always going to be shoot first, but I do trust his shot. I think I trust it more than Trey Johnson. I do think Khan actually is the best shooter in this draft. It's just like, I don't think it's incredibly different between him and Trey. I would say they're both in the top 5 with probably like Kobe Bryant, Isaiah Evans, and maybe Karaban. But either way, I'm going to have Knueppel go here to San Antonio, and I love that fit for them. So a little bit of a fall for Trey Johnson in this mock, which, like, Houston at 9, I mean, there's point guards on the board, and I don't know, like, I mean, I think they're going to decline the team option on Van Vliet, but bring him back. You got Reed Shepherd. I mean, I have no idea what they're going to do trade-wise this offseason. So maybe we go for a little bit more shooting off the bench and we take Trey Johnson. I think everybody's going to mock like Jeremiah Fears to them or one of those guards. Because I don't know if Reed Shepherd's going to be the traditional point guard, the traditional pass first initiator, run the half court offense type guy. He's somebody that I think could be a little bit better off ball movements coming off screens and maybe a little bit of isolation or maybe running the pick and roll as well. But I think Trey Johnson value-wise at number 9, you can't pass up on. And you could definitely look for some depth shooting the ball on that team. But who knows? Maybe Trey Johnson is just going to be a Phoenix Sun when it's all said and done. So at number 10, I actually saw, I forget if it was Jake or Demin or one of the point guard prospects mocked to the Blazers. And they know their fans probably don't want another guard, but like, what if they trade Simons this offseason? Who else is a guard out there? I mean, like, besides Sharp and Scoot. Like, you could look for some depth, and Fears is on the board. And are we totally sure Scoot is your long-term point guard, which I'm still on? I think Scoot was, like, taking steps in the right direction this year. But what if he doesn't take the steps we think of year 3, and then we're getting closer to the extension time? I'm just saying, I don't think I'm going to have them take a point guard here. I do think I'm going to have them go defense or shooting. And, I mean, Knueppel would be a great fit here. Jace Richardson intrigues me a lot as well. You know what? I thought about Ace and Newell, but I mean, like, I don't think they get off that grant money. And you have Kamara that could be a stretch 4. You have McNeely, but I think I may trust Jace Richardson as a shooter a little bit more. And I am going to take a guard, but he's not a traditional point guard. He's more of a combo guard. And maybe this is going to be the Anthony Simons role that he can long-term step into. It's not going to happen right away because Simons is still a good player. But if Richardson is a score-first guy, can get downhill, can finish at the rim, has got a good first step, can attack closeouts. And I think that is exactly what Portland can use, either probably coming off the bench next year. He's 6'3", but I don't think doesn't feel like he's like a small guy out there by any means. He can hold his own defensively and is a good athlete. So yeah, I know Blazers fans, maybe you didn't want a guard, but trust me, Jace Richardson is a really good player and he shouldn't take any starts away from Scoot Henderson next year, which at number 11, this leads me an easy pick here. Jeremiah Fears to the Miami Heat. I think they need a long-term answer at the point guard position. And I think Fears is way more of a traditional pass first. I don't know about pass first, but I think he's better court vision than Jace Richardson, and he's a way better scorer. And I think shooter or his projected shooting numbers are going to be way better than Yegor Demin's or Ben Saraf's or Nolan Traore, another guard you could think about here. He's somebody that can, oh my God, him running the pick and roll with Bam or Khalil Ware and him finding the roller or just an out, like a weak side cutter, can throw an alley-oop to the weak side as well or in the dunker spot. Man, Jeremiah Fears, I think, would cook in this Miami offense. Like, Rozier didn't work out. I think Mitchell is a really good backup point guard, but I think Fears gives you long-term upside as a point guard. Also, if the Miami Heat make it out of the playing tournament, they don't even get this pick. This is going to go to OKC at like number 15 because it's water protected. So who knows what's going to happen there. And we're on the clock with the Sixers here at number 12. So they trade down. They maybe accumulated a future draft pick or I'd assume and Jalen Smith, something like that, right? So here at number 12, I kind of like Colin Murray-Boyles or Asa Newell to the 76ers, somebody that you could put in between Paul George and Embiid. Neither of them are projected to be good shooters right now. It's kind of like, what do you value inside? A more traditional big, more of an alley-oop threat, or Colin Murray-Boyles, who can really lock in defensively. And I think that's who I'm going to have them take here. Like, I think this is a Sixers team that realizes their window is closing with Embiid. I think they're going to be fine after Embiid because you hit on the Maxey pick in 2020, you hit on the McCain pick in 2024, you hit on the Justin Edwards undrafted free agency signing, and you also hit on the Caleb Martin, Quentin Grimes trade. So you're going to be fine, especially with your guards long term. I mean, you have maybe the 2 worst contracts in the league, one because of pure production in Paul George, and he's getting older. The other one with Embiid is like, he's not the worst contract if he's out there, but when is Embiid out there that you can really rely on? And I think Murray-Boyles is a good 4 that maybe you hope can space the floor. And if he does, his value would have been a top 10 prospect in this draft. It's really what you project you think he can be. But man, is he an incredible defender in the post, on the perimeter, physical bruiser inside, plays very hard, elevated the South Carolina team this year. And I kind of love that for Philadelphia. Trading down, getting an additional asset. And yet, come on, could be a great successor to Joel Embiid there in Philadelphia. But I think Colin Murray-Boyles is no bad, like, is a really good player here. And maybe you would like, I don't know though, like, I don't think Philly's going to lose sleep not getting Kasparis, Trey Johnson. I mean, maybe they'd like Trey, but like, where is his role next year? And like Jace Richardson and Fears are probably not going to get minutes. I think you'd probably like Knueppel, and that's the guy you missed out on. But I'm fine with Colin Murray-Boyles there in Philadelphia. So at number 13, we have the Dallas Mavericks, another team that I think could look at guard for sure. But I think they're also a team that could look at best player available. And I don't know. I think you could look at Newell if you think AD's getting older, right? Like, what's happening with him? Are you going to extend Gafford? At least Newell gives you a little bit more stability there in the front court, and there could be so many injuries. And hey, he's somebody that could step in, and Derek Lively can kind of show him the ropes. I don't hate Liam McNeely here. I do think, like, with Clay getting older, they do have a good amount of wings, though. It's just like, I don't know who's running this offense next year with Kyrie out for most of the year. And I think it's a lot to ask for one of these guys in this range. If it's going to be Demin, if it's going to be Ben Saraf. But maybe they like Saraf, honestly, more than Yegor Demin. Honestly, I think his court vision is really good. I think he could finish at the rim I like his scoring ability more than probably Demin and Traore's. I do think the other two are better passers, but Saraf isn't far behind. And I'm starting to really like his play. And you really got to project here. I mean, I would love for him to learn behind Kyrie with Kyrie playing. And I don't think he should start day one. But I do think his experience, the competition he's playing overseas, he's not going to be reliant on a shooter. And I do think he's going to... But then I'm like, I go back and forth between Demin, Traore, or Saraf here. But I think I'm going to have Ben Saraf go in the lottery, which is maybe a little bit of a reach. Maybe Dallas could have traded down there. And Atlanta, like, I don't know if I would have them trade down here. Like, I don't know, like, how much they would like Rasheer Fleming this high. Liam McNeely is a shooter. I don't hate Newell here either, because I actually think I'm going to have Newell go with the last pick of the lottery. It looks like Clint Capella is not going to be brought back next year. He can really benefit from running sets with Trae Young at the top of the key. Can go set a ball screen, roll very well to the rim. I think he needs to work on his court vision when he gets the ball at the high post or in the paint. But he's a good athlete. And I think you have, like, I don't know if they're going to bring back Larry Nance. I assume they'd like to have a veteran presence there in the front court. But you have some good athletes there in the front court with Jalen Johnson, Asa Newell, Mohamed Gay, and Onyeka Okongwu. And we could be cooking next year with the Atlanta Hawks. So we're on the clock here at 15 with the Spurs. I mean, we got Knueppel. I'm going to do it. I'm going to have Liam McNeely. I'm going to buy the dip here, and I'm going to have Liam McNeely go to the San Antonio Spurs. So they're getting some of the best shooters in this draft. The best shooter in the draft, in my opinion, in Knueppel. And McNeely, who was probably projected to be a top shooter in this draft going into the year, gets injured in January, I believe, or the end of December, and he has that ankle injury. Never looked the same, but had that insane scoring game against Creighton. And I do think is somebody that could still be a really good shooter in this league for a long time. It just may come, like, the form is really good, the looks are good, the free throw percentage is really good. Maybe it just struggles a little bit attacking the rim. But even if he shoots like 34% from three on a high volume, I'll take that in the Spurs offense. And I'm sure the Magic are kind of upset with how this draft has fallen. So I don't know if I would reach on a shooter specifically here. So maybe we can call up the trade market. Do I like anybody trading up to 16 to maybe select Yegor Demin, maybe to select Thomas Sorber, because the center market gets a little bit thin, maybe taking an upside swing on Essengue here. I mean, at 16, we have Orlando. I mean, Atlanta just ended up making a selection. Indiana, maybe they would trade up to get Sorber here, because maybe they don't think Sorber makes it to them at 25 if they want that true rim protector. 16 is a little bit rich, but I would probably think that Brooklyn, Washington, Utah, OKC, like these guys would think about Thomas Sorber. So maybe we have Indiana making a trade here with Orlando, but they don't have like a good second rounder. Maybe like OKC or Utah will consolidate some of these picks. I mean, Utah's got 21 and 44. I mean, Yegor Demin is interesting going to Utah, but I ended up getting them Dylan Harper in their draft. If they got Cooper Flagg, then I'd like Dylan Harper a little bit. I don't know if any of these teams would trade up. I mean, the Hawks intrigue me, but they don't have a second rounder. Like, there had to be a future pick in this trade. Maybe it's like Kobe Buffkin, but also, yet again, like, that probably doesn't intrigue Orlando. Maybe Karis LeVert. I'm just kind of spitballing here. Does Miami move up? Probably not, even though I'd like Rasheer Fleming there. I just don't know if any of these teams specifically would move up. Phoenix doesn't have the assets to move up. Maybe we have Indiana move up. Maybe there'd be a future pick or something included here. So Orlando is going to go down 9 spots with this pick. Maybe a protected pick. A protected first to Orlando in the future. And that could just be another asset. And I think Orlando doesn't need to reach on a shooter here. But then again, like, maybe Orlando just takes Yegor Demin to run the point, and then you can have Suggs off ball, and that's, I think, another position of need is like a true initiator. All right, you know what? I'm gonna scrap that. I'm gonna have them take Yegor Demin, not reach on a shooter, but somebody that I think is the best passer in this draft. And I think, I mean, in a perfect world, maybe it's Ty Jerome in free agency. You get a good passer at the 1 that could bump Suggs to the 2, but also a good 3-point shooter. But I do think Demin is worth taking there at that range. At 17 with Minnesota, now this is where I think we can have a trade down team. Maybe this is going to be something like Indiana and Minnesota, who doesn't own a lot of picks going forward. Maybe it's something like, I don't know, yeah, like a protected first, and they swap picks here. Protected, I don't know, top 21st in 26, which they don't own. So maybe it'll be 2028. That could maybe end up being 2 seconds down the line, and we're swapping 18 to 25, which means Indiana is moving up to take Thomas Sorber out of Georgetown, thinking that somebody would leapfrog them to, or just take them ahead, and they're going to get somebody that I think is, if it's a big position of need, with Turner being a free agent, although I think he'll resign. Isaiah Jackson, Achilles tear, free agent. Wiseman, major injury, out for the year, and not under contract for next year. So you get Sorber, who I know also has some injury concerns, but I think he's going to be healthy at the start of next year's season. And I think he's probably the second best rim protector in this draft, in my opinion, outside of Kaman. I like him a little bit more than Beringer. So we're on the clock with the Nets here at 18. I think they could have been a trade-up team as well, like for a team that wants some depth. They have 3 first-round picks later on here. I think they can go for a wing. And I think Essengue would make a lot of sense there. We're going high upside. We're trying to swing here, taking lottery tickets. Essengue, definitely raw coming over here from Ratio Farm, currently playing over there with Ben Saraf, which is cool because you get to watch 2 first-round prospects at once when you watch those games. But he's somebody that can handle the ball well, but I think has a good mind for where he needs to be on the floor, knows when to cut, when to slash, and I think Jakucionis and Essengue provide some long-term upside for them going forward. Washington here at 19. Do I think we could have another trade up here? Like, would Washington want to trade down, accumulate some assets? Maybe. Maybe we have, I don't know if Boston would want to trade away 28 and 32 to move up to 19, but let's do it anyway. Actually, let me think who Boston would trade up for. Like Fleming, I don't know if really fits Boston. Maybe Danny Wolf, who could space the floor, play a little bit of Missoula ball. Right, just take a ton of threes. Carter Bryant, I think, could be on the table here if they like his long-term upside. But I also think, like, OKC would be interested in Danny Wolf, and maybe even Washington here at 19. So let's have Boston. You know, we'll get the white center over there. And we'll trade 28 and 32 for 19, and Washington gets another top second, and that's basically the deal there. Boston is on the clock, and I'm gonna have them take Danny Wolf, who no chance he makes it to 28, but somebody that can dribble the ball very well for somebody at his size, can even be out there at the same time with Kristaps Porzingis. And can shoot mid-30s from 3. He has good value because not a lot of centers in this draft can shoot. Kaman can't shoot. Derek Queen can't shoot. Sorber can't shoot. But Danny Wolf can shoot. So, yeah, I think there's his appeal there. Like, Joe and Beringer can shoot. Janai Broome can shoot, but he's pretty slow. Kalkbrenner can't shoot. And I don't know if you can really trust Rain out either. So, Miami at 20, I mean, this pick, I think, makes a ton of sense. I think they would actually go more upside over Rasheer Fleming. I think they would actually look at Carter Bryant's archetype and see, like, that's exactly what we need here in Miami. A 3-and-D stretch 4 that could also play out there with either Ware at the 5 or Bam at the 5 if you want to stagger some minutes there. So, yeah, we're going to have Carter Bryant go to the Miami Heat. Actually love that at 20. Utah at 21, I think they're a team after Dylan Harper at number 2. I think they can go for a little bit more scoring, like set scoring, right? I don't think they need to take... I mean, Noah Penda, oh, man, like, he's a really good defensive prospect. You know what? I feel like this is something they would do. I don't know, 21 seems high. I'm not as high as Penda, but I do like his defense. I think they would go for just Fleming. Who knows about Hendricks' health? Cody Williams didn't have the best year. I think he's somebody that could run the floor, bring high intensity and energy, and him and Harper could just try to step in day one and really turn this franchise around, and somebody that wants to win, even though I'd rather see Fleming on some other teams. So yeah, I think this trade down with the Magic is going to be fine for them. This is the Denver pick. Let's take Clifford out of Colorado State. I didn't trade down with them, right? And I took Yegor Demin. So we're going to get a good shooter in this draft, with Clifford. Good touch around the rim. And in the second round, they can maybe address like Isaiah Evans, Kobe Bryant. I think Isaiah Evans should be a first-round pick if he declares. But Clifford really finished the season strong in the Mountain West at Colorado State this year. 23 with the OKC Thunder. I would have loved Danny Wolf here. Maybe they take a chance on Joanne Beringer, which honestly... Gavoni thinks of ESPN this is going to happen in the first round. A lot of outlets are starting to like Beringer as a first-round pick. So this is the mock, not what I would do. I'll have like GM mocks throughout this as well. And I'll let you guys know if this is something I would do, if it's something I wouldn't do. I mean, if this is the way the center class falls and OKC is just kind of stashing Beringer as a depth centerpiece because you have Hardenstein and Chet and Jay Will at least under contract next year, and then you hope your 3 Beringer is ready to step in as like a good either backup center, could maybe at his peak starting center for you. And I think that is a Sam Presti pick 100%. So yeah, we're gonna have Beringer there because you're gonna have Topic healthy next year. AJ Mitchell's gonna be healthy again. And they're going to have some seconds, I believe. And then obviously they're a talented team right now that could win the finals this year. I think we can take a stash guy going forward. So we're on the clock here with the Hawks at 24. We ended up getting Newell at 14. Rasheer Fleming, I would have loved here. Carter Bryant, I would have loved here as well. I kind of want to, I think just take those athletic wings that could defend. And I went a little bit more big with Newell. I think they could also look at like LeBaron and Philon here. To Todd Pettiford, that might be a little high, but Philon here. Boogie Flynn's also kind of high too, but I'm going to take Noah Penda, who rock solid defender, man. One of the better defenders in this draft. I think the offense is going to be very hit or miss, and that's something scouts need to really figure out if they think could project long term. But this fits the mold of what Atlanta has done to build around Trae Young, Reese Shea, Daniels, Johnson. These guys that could switch onto multiple guys and that could really help Trae Young if he gets beat on the perimeter, but can also run the floor and just be good athletes. And Penda, more so, I think the defensive upside than the offensive upside. But man, him and like Mohamed Gay, like you got good athletes and solid defenders long term. So we had back-to-back French guys. So yeah, Essengue, Beringer, and Penda, 3 French prospects there in the first round. 25 for Minnesota. We traded down. We're not going to do it second round, but they get the 31st pick here. What would Minnesota look at here, honestly? Like Cam Jones, I would like. Nolan Traore, probably. I would take Traore. Another French player. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, I think they're a team that is going to look for a point guard. And I don't know if their fan base wants like an international point guard coming over, maybe a little bit of a developmental project. But I mean, you could like Philon, but I think Philon is not really the initiating point guard that you're looking for because you already kind of took Rob Dillingham in that score first mindset last year. And Fierce is going to be off the board. And then what? You're getting into Saraf. I know he's not international, but Russian point guard, Yegor Demin. So I don't know. I think that's really what you're going to be looking at. So Brooklyn took Kasparis at 6, Essengue at 18. I think they're a team that could also, I mean, honestly, like I think we can get a good defender in the room. But then again, I just want to keep swinging for the fences. Let's go Will Riley. I think Will Riley's going to be a first-round pick if he officially declares for the draft. 6'8", microwave scorer, can just pull up in transition and knock down threes left and right. A little bit of a developmental guy on the defensive end for sure. But Jordi Fernandez knows what he's building over there in Brooklyn. I think makes a ton of sense. And then we're on the clock again. Yeah, like, honestly, it's kind of a shame that the Nets tore down the roster over the last few years. And you end up with the 6th pick this year. You probably wish... Like, you hope the lottery gods give you some luck, but that is a disappointing, like, selection where you're missing out on the top 4. But hey, Essengue, Jakucionis, Will Riley. And honestly, I think I'm going to go with a little bit more of a safe prospect, a really good defender, Thiero from Arkansas. Not a good three-point shooter, but man, he can anticipate passing lanes very well, get off and running in transition, can guard the post very well, physical guy inside. And hey, we've had that, like, I think Jordi Fernandez loved coaching Keon Johnson, Zaire Williams, at times, and like Tyrese Smart and Jalen Wilson, guys that at least tried this year, making a name for themselves on the defensive end of the floor. And not going to be Thiero going forward. At 28 with the Wizards, this was the trade down, and they acquired 32 via Boston as well. We got Cooper Flagg at 1. I think they could also be in the center market, but with Sorber and Wolf and Beringer off the board, I don't love any of these options. So I'm going to have them go LeBaron and Philon from Alabama. A lot of upside, man, as a scoring, but also playmaking point guard here. And I think could really benefit playing in Washington. Like I said, next 2 years, just growing pains. It's okay if they're bad in 2026. You can land another blue chip prospect, but Philon can take that Bub Carrington route, get his touches here in his rookie year, learn from Marcus Smart. Maybe they sign a more veteran point guard as well. And I like that long term because Jordan Poole is not in your long-term plans. Brogdon isn't in your long-term plans. Smart as a rotational piece, not in your long-term plans. I think you can draft a bunch of guards there because we're good on forwards at the moment. The Suns at 29, they need an impact player right away. They need a big. I think I'm going to have them take Axel Lendeborg, though, who could be a good scorer for them, can play up, can be a good power forward. I think it's definitely a position of need. And I think they're reaching on a center. Like if Sorber was there, I'd like him. If Wolf was there, they need more of a rim protector. I mean, maybe they like Kalkbrenner's size there at the 5 spot. But I think what Yaxel could provide you as somebody that could space the floor a little bit at the 4 spot, but could be NBA ready out of the gate, and that's what they're looking for. And here at 30 with the Clippers, a lot of guys that I like. Cam Jones I love here. Karaban I like a lot here. Boogie Fland, Isaiah Evans. Oh my God, I would take him here in a heartbeat. Walter Clayton, Tyrese Proctor. A lot of guys that I'm a fan of here. But if I was predicting what they would do, I don't think Hugo goes in the first round. I think they would take Karaban. I think they'd look for some shooting long term and somebody that could stretch the floor, good cutter, good off ball player. James Harden, with his incredible court vision, could really help out Karaban right away. And I think this would either be Karaban or Cam Jones out of the gate. So that is like a post-March Madness, post-end of the regular season NBA mock draft with no lottery sim in this. You can let me know what you like or dislike. I had 3 trades in here as well. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't have that. I had 3 trades in here, so you can let me know what you guys think. Let me know what maybe teams you think could trade up on draft night. I would say one of my favorite fits here, like Khan and McNeely, both going to San Antonio, is a home run. I like Colin Murray-Boyles in Philadelphia. Love Jeremiah Fears in Miami. And I think like it's smart for OKC to invest in Beringer and Noah Penda as well. I feel like Magic fans would be like, we get Demin and Clifford, which is totally fair. And I also like the Nets draft with all things considered at 6, Kasparis. And then they end up with Essengue, Riley, and Thiero. So yeah, thank you guys all for watching and listening to this episode of the Just Ballin' Podcast. I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up on YouTube if you did enjoy. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, really appreciate a rating and review to help the pod grow. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.